is my pleasure to welcome you all to the Hollywood Chamber's Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony for Richard Blade. The Chamber of Commerce has proudly hosted the globally iconic Walk of Fame for millions of people around the world for more than 60 years. So first, before we get this thing going, let's give a big shout out to our fans watching around the world on our live stream. And I think they can hear you halfway around the world without all the electronics. Presented by our media partner, Variety. You know, you got to save some of this energy for the honorees. The Hollywood Walk of Fame recognizes achievement in the categories of motion picture, radio, live theater, live performance, sports entertainment, recording, and television. Today, in the category of radio, we honor Richard Blade. With star number, and we do count these things, star number 2,782 on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, before we invite Richard to the stage, let me tell you a little bit about our honoree. Richard Blade is one of the most popular and best-known DJs in America, and hosts a daily radio show on both Sirius XM First Wave and KCBS. He's also the best-selling author of his autobiography, World in My Eyes. And until yesterday, more on this later, but until yesterday, 4 novels, SPQR, Birthright, Imposters, and Ghosts of the Congo, all of which made #1 on Amazon's bestseller list. Richard also has 2 nonfiction music books, The Lockdown Interviews and The Unlocked Interviews, both of which debuted, you guessed it, #1 on Amazon Music Publications list, featuring conversations with music's biggest stars during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I said until yesterday there were 4 novels. Today we can announce a 5th, which will be released today. Appropriately, today, as you know, it's the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and Richard's latest novel, Slapton Stands, which I see he has in his hands, is inspired by the true story, which he shared a little bit with me earlier today, of the disaster, a largely unknown story of the disaster that American soldiers experienced training in England for D-Day. I personally can't wait to read it, and I suggest that all of you run out and get it wherever Slapton Sands is available. Richard was born in England, educated at Oxford, and after touring Europe for 2 years as a DJ, he moved to the United States. In the 1980s, he was the top-rated morning drive DJ on K-Rock. I think every one of you out there listened to that show. I know I did. All right, morning drive DJ on KROQ, K-Rock in Los Angeles, and he hosted and directed numerous TV shows and series, including Video 1, MV3, and Video Beat. He's won numerous awards, including the Golden Microphone, California's Best DJ, the Brit of the Year, and the American DJ Association's Lifetime Achievement Award. Richard has also appeared in many network TV series and starred or co-starred in several feature films, including Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Spellcaster, and Long Lost Son, which he also wrote. He travels extensively as he continues to DJ live. Those must be great parties. And is in high demand as a speaker and host at events around the world. He is a supporter of Best Friends Animal Society and the Los Angeles Mission. Please help me welcome to this stage our newest Walk of Famer, Richard Blade. Right here, it's good. All right. You know, this podium's pretty flimsy. Don't jump on it. All right. Richard, before we hear from you, we have three friends of yours who would like to say a few words. Our first speaker today is the award-winning host and executive producer of Jimmy Kimmel Live. That was kind of a giveaway of who it might be. He's quite deservedly earned great reviews for hosting the Emmy Awards and the Oscars several times. In 2018, he was named one of the world's 100 most influential people. He is already permanently on the Walk of Fame as a Walk of Famer. And by the way, on a regular basis, he interviews many other unsuspecting victims along the Walk of Fame on his great show. Please welcome to the stage. We're going to put him on the spot today, Walk of Famer Jimmy Kimmel.
Oxford, huh? What a waste. All this time I thought you were an overachiever. Turns out quite the opposite. Well, first of all, it's great to be perpendicular to all of you. This is the heart of show business, and we can't figure out that the microphone should be faced at the audience. I want to give a little attention to the luminaries who are in the crowd right now. Kevin from Kevin and Bean is here. Now on KLOS, we got Wayne Jobson here. We got Swedish Eagle here. We got Doug the Slug. Sluggo is here. We got Billy Idol here, for God's sake. We are here to honor our friend and former co-worker, a true LA icon, if ever there was one, Mr. Richard Blade. It seems fitting that this is happening on the hottest day of the year so far, because on the day Richard was born, he looked up at the sky and he said, "No sunscreen ever for me, thanks." Believe it or not, Richard Blade is not his real name, not his given name, or anyone's real name. It is his radio name. He was born Richard Shepard, and his original DJ name was the Young Dick Shepard, which he changed for obvious reasons. But he changed it to Disco Dick, which is, I think you will agree, was much, much worse. A terrible, terrible name. Disco Dick is a condition you get from doing drugs off the urinal at Studio 54. Richard finally settled on the name we all know now in 1982. He was live on the air. He saw a newspaper ad for the movie Blade Runner, and from that point on, he was Richard Blade Runner, which he shortened just to Blade. And you know, a lot of movies came out in 1982. I looked it up. You could easily have been Richard Tootsie or even The World According to Dick Garp. I mentioned the luminaries we have today. Also, I want to mention Oscar E. Alvarez Jr., who is the head of the Richard Blade fan club. He will be speaking. Oscar, I have something to tell you. This is not really a star ceremony. This is a sting operation. We set this up to lure you here so we could serve you with a restraining order. Richard wants you to know that you're freaking him out. And your mother would like the fan club out of her shed. I met Richard in 1994. We were both working in radio when that was still a thing. I was the sports guy for Kevin and Bean, the Kevin and Bean show on the world-famous K-Rock. Richard, even though he was a legend and I was a punk who came in from Tucson wearing shorts to work, welcomed me very warmly. I could tell right away he was the rarest thing possible in the radio business, a very nice person. Everyone knows it. Everyone loves Richard Blade. I've never heard anyone say anything negative about you, not even once, and I think that is maybe the most important thing of all. We all know about his career. Richard's given big boosts to musicians like Duran Duran, The Police, Culture Club, Billy Idol. A lot of shitty ones, too. Not all good. We still don't forgive you for Animotion. Who would have guessed that would have hit a nerve, huh? Really, Fascination? It's like a fucking video game. Anyway, around the time I was leaving K-Rock in 1999, Richard was leaving the station too to do one of the weirdest things I ever heard of a DJ doing. He retired from a very successful radio career to open a scuba shop in the Caribbean, which sounds like a witness protection situation. At first I was worried that he'd done something to anger the mob, but luckily for all of us, Richard realized that humans cannot breathe underwater and that renting snorkels to tourists was actually not his or anyone's dream. And he returned. He moved back a few years later to share his talents with us again, to spin the hits of the 80s, the first wave. And now here we are on the Hollywood Walk of Fame with Disco Dick, who's come such a long way. I just want to say congratulations, Richard. It could not have happened to a nicer guy, and I am proud to lay on the ground alongside you on this very filthy Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Love you, Jimmy. Love you, man. Thank you so much. That's brilliant. Brilliant.
Thank you, Jimmy Kimmel. And there are many clean parts of the Walk of Fame, so come on.
Where?
We'll discuss that later. Okay, I'm actually paid by the word, and Jimmy took most of them out of my mouth by introducing a bunch of folks, but I want to make sure everybody gets introduced, so some of you will hear your name again. Don't get a big head over that. And here are the wonderful guests who are here. First of all, from K-Rock, and K-Rock really has, the best names for its DJs. So here from K-Rock are Swedish Eagle. Native Wayne. Katie Manor. And let's see, is Doug the Slug here? Yes, Doug the Slug. I was going to say your name whether you were here or not, because Doug, come on, Doug the Slug. And has already been introduced, Kevin Ryder from the Kevin and Bean Show. Dramarama's lead singer, John Easdale. Culture Club's Roy Hayes. Oingo Boingo's Johnny Vatos. Dave Wakeling of General Public and English Beat. Actor Will Wheaton. Radio personality Shadow Stevens. And a special shout out, because it's a special day, for music producer, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Walk of Fame famer, and it's his birthday today, Jimmy Jam! All right, our next speaker is actually not dodging a subpoena. He's here voluntarily. He's the man who, along with all of you, Richard's fans, put forth the nomination and sponsored this star for Richard Blade. Please welcome fan club coordinator Oscar E. Alvarez Jr.
How's everybody doing? I'm going to take you back to the 80s for a second. Back then, we had these, a cassette tape. How many of you had them? We used to pop these into a radio and a boombox, and we would set the dial to 106.7 KROQ, a little radio station in Pasadena, and a real cool DJ would come on and with a really cool British accent, and he would say, Richard Blade here. Coming up next, Depeche Mode, Morrissey, New Order, Susie and the Banshees, Culture Club, Dramarama, English Beat, and all the rest, and The Cure. And what you do is you'd put this cassette and you would set the record button, and right when the song came on, you would hit the record, and then at the end, when the tape was all filled up, you had the coolest mixtape made by none other than Richard Blade. So, us fans, Richard, we thank you since the 80s and up until today, partnering with Ray Chaos from Chaos Records. And right behind us, the Smiths Morrissey Convention, the Depeche Mode conventions here at the Avalon. We thank you for that and for the continued awesomeness that you do. You inspire us as an actor, as a writer, as just a multi-talented individual, and of course your great book that's coming out today. We thank you, Richard. On behalf of all the fans all over the world, thank you so much. And everybody that came out today, thank you to Anna Martinez, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, the Hollywood Star Organization. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Our next speaker. The words here say our next speaker is an iconic rock star with an electrifying stage presence and a rebellious spirit. Let me just say, some rock stars perform. Some rock stars are part of rock history. Some rock stars make rock history. And our next guest is all three of those. And he is himself a Walk of Famer on the Walk of Fame. So please welcome to the stage Walk of Famer Billy Idol.
Well, so I'm so glad to be here today to honour Richard, and he super deserves this. He's been part of LA for a long time. It's fantastic for us back in the 80s to have someone like Richard on K-Rock, super, supporting the new music that was coming out of England and America. Because we were getting a lot of blowback from the people from the 60s and 70s who just didn't want to believe there was anything good about the 80s. So you needed mates, you really did, and I know a load of groups would be here. If a lot of the bands are here, Culture Club's here today. I know Depeche Mode would be here, Duran Duran, the Police. We all owe a debt to Richard because he was there. I mean, I did in-stores with him where the fans were going crazy, so we share some of the craziness of the 80s as well. Because it was a fantastically crazy time, yeah! Richard also introduced me when we did the tour with the Cult at the Forum, when I first played the Forum here, and Richard introduced us in '87. So we just, one way or another, we really did a lot together. And as I say, it was just fantastic to have a mate like this, a guy from Britain, to sort of living the American dream and having success here. That meant a hell of a lot to all of us. So, Richard, I've just love being here. I love Richard Blade! Yeah!
Love Billy Idol. Really? Wow, thank you.
You know, I clearly overdressed for the occasion, but all right, the Hollywood Walk of Fame truly is a street of dreams and creativity and innovation, and until today there were 2,781 stars on the Walk of Fame. Soon we will unveil star number 2,782 for Richard Blade. But this is also a real place, real businesses. People live here and work here. Tourists come here to enjoy the Walk of Fame and other things in Hollywood. And we're part of the city of Los Angeles. So to present a resolution on behalf of the city of Los Angeles, I am pleased to introduce Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez to present you.
Good afternoon, Los Angeles! I want to thank the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce for administering the historic Walk of Fame for the city of Los Angeles. This Walk of Fame is a record of the people that have made an impact on the cultural, iconic image of what Los Angeles is for all the world to see for more than 60 years. People come to Los Angeles and to Hollywood specifically to fulfill their dreams. And today is no small example of exactly what Richard Blade represents as part of those history-making moments. I have been affectionately dubbed the chair of the 80s caucus for the Los Angeles City Council. And it's only in a place like Los Angeles, where the daughter of Mexican immigrants from the San Fernando Valley would turn on K-Rock and listen to Richard Blade to be introduced to some of the greatest musicians that have ever performed. I'm so happy to see Dave Wakeling and to be surrounded by so many iconic Billy Idol, of course Jimmy Jam, and all the incredible other talented members of K-Rock that were, as Oscar really poignantly reflected, was the reason why we put those cassettes in our boombox and hit play record whenever Richard Blade came on the air. Because that is exactly, if we ran out of money at Tower Records, that's how we had to hear our music. And I have to explain that to my kids because they've got Spotify and everything else that's on digital now. But that is what makes our generation so fortunate to have been exposed to bands like Depeche Mode, like The Cure, that have made such an indelible mark, not only in musical history, but in our lives. And so it's for that reason that I appreciated having the opportunity to declare June 9th, Richard Blade Day in the city of Los Angeles. Richard, you have been an important part of the music of our lives, introducing us to the bands that would make a tremendous impact and, frankly, be some of the therapy that none of us had access to. And for all of the things that you've given to us over the course of our lives, it's with great honor that I recognize and celebrate you on this momentous occasion and recognizing you here on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I have a resolution on behalf of the Los Angeles City Council to declare today Richard Blade Day in Hollywood, but also congratulations on your well-deserved star on the Walk of Fame.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much. That's sweet. There you go. Thank you. Wow. Wow, that's great.
The Los Angeles City Council was very busy making resolutions. You get not only one, but 2 resolutions.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you got that. Wow.
All right. So at the risk of repetition, today, a very special day. We redeclare today, Richard Blade Day in Hollywood!
Thank you.
Take it away.
Thank you so much. Wow. That is the second time Monica has recognized a Richard Blade Day. June 9th and June 6th. If they give me 2 more, we can all have a 4-day weekend.
Yeah!
And I did have a long list here of thank yous, but they've all been announced already. So that saves 2 minutes of the speech. But basically, thank you to everyone down here for coming. It has meant so much to me. The K-Rock crew, incredible. And to see the A-team of K-Rock here, and so many people that are special. And by the way, Shadow Stevens, who is here, he was at K-Rock when it was an AM station. And he helped lay the groundwork for what followed, and then, of course, disappeared. He didn't become the most popular radio personality in America and the center square of Hollywood. Oh, it was you, yeah. An incredible talent. So, Shadow, thank you for being here. But all of our celebrities, we really appreciate. Jimmy Kimmel, amazing. I was wondering what happened to Jimmy, the sports guy. I'm glad he's still working. And Billy Idol, oh my goodness. The re-release of Rebel Yell, a must for everyone. And Billy was talking to me. He's got new music coming out next year. Can't wait. How about if we get Billy back for Cruel World 4? Wouldn't that be great? Oh. And the other thing is, they did mention it was someone's birthday today. Now, I am so honored that Jimmy Jam is here on his birthday. And he has worked with so many people and really taken their voices to the top. So I'm going to sing for him right now. But I need your help, okay? It's an easy song. It starts with happy, it ends with birthday, and we're going to throw Jimmy Jam in the middle, all right? So, if we could, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Jimmy Jam, it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. We love you, Jimmy. And for anyone who has been living in Siberia the last 30 years, Jimmy Jam is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, one of the most successful producers on the planet. Look, no notes. He took George Michael to #1. He took Mariah Carey to #1. He took the Human League to #1. And he took Janet Jackson to the top of the charts, #1, 9 separate times. Unbelievable. Kudos to you. And the guy sitting next to him, Will Wheaton, he has been a K-Rock fan forever. When he was on Star Trek The Next Generation, he told me he would have left the show to get a job as a K-Rock DJ. And we hung out together. He was 15 at Music for the Masses, a band called Depeche Mode, when they played at the Rose Bowl. And I actually drove him home because he couldn't find his ride. So it's a thrill to have them all here. But I do have to say a couple of thank yous. And that is, first up, to my mom and dad. If they were still with us, they would not believe today. It very special. And a second one to Ray and Oscar and all the crew. Thank you for all the work you did. And so someone who's wearing a golden mirror ball today, my beautiful wife, the lovely Krista. She's worked so hard behind the scenes. And for all of you for coming. I know, Dave and Roy and Johnny and John And Billy, you've got so much to do, and yet you made time for me. So that is such an honor. And there's other people here that I have to say hi to, and that's Peter Facer. Peter, you might not know his name, but you know the name of the shows that he worked on with me. He was the guy who produced MV3, Video 1, Video Beat, and then he went on to E! Entertainment Television. Just a great, great guy. And so I am honored. And I also want to mention Rick Carroll and Larry Groves. Those two people are no longer with us. They came up with the idea for alternative radio in Los Angeles. No one else was doing it anywhere in America, but they came up with the idea for K-Rock. And without them, we might not have heard from The Cure or Soft Cell or Depeche Mode or that band from Birmingham, either The English Beat or Duran Duran, one of those two. But either way, we thank the memory of Larry and Rick because they did so much for us. And to the K-Rock DJs who are no longer with us, to Dusty Street, to Scott Mason, to Ramondo, one half of Ramondo and the Blade, to Rockin' Fig, who did the surf reports. Love every single one of you, and I wouldn't be here without all of your talent and everything you did for me. But my journey, how I got here today, was an Uber. No, my journey was, it started on a cold, wet night in England. The rain was banging against the windows, and I thought, I got to get out of this place. I got to go somewhere where it's sunny, where there's palm trees, where there's friendly people, where they make endless superhero remakes. And so I figured Hollywood had to be the place to be. But I was 10 years old when I figured that, and I was way too young, so I had to wait. And then I ended up at Oxford University, and I became the college DJ there. And at the end of the 4 years, I left with 2 degrees and 700 records. And it was like a sliding doors moment. Do I use the degrees or do I use the records? And as I was thinking this, I got a phone call, and it was an agent. And he said, would you like to go to Europe and tour in the clubs? I was 22 years old. I could go to the hottest clubs across Europe, go to Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Austria, Switzerland, Germany, and Spain, and play music for all the girls there. So I said, let me think about it, yes. And so for the next 2 years, I toured Europe. But I remembered one time that 10-year-old me had said, you got to go to America. So I thought I would not let that kid down inside me. So I booked a ticket to America, knew nothing about the States. I knew no one in America, never been there. And so I went to the local library. By the way, if anyone out there's under 35, ask your parents what a library is, okay? So I went to the library and I looked up places to stay in Hollywood and came across the Studio Apartments, which is on North Whitby, 4 blocks from here. And I thought, that'll be great, Studio Apartments. That's going to be where I can get up in the morning and have breakfast with Steve McQueen and then dinner with Jack Nicholson. I'll open the door for Robert Redford. It's going to be fantastic. So I booked 3 weeks there. When I arrived, I was shocked to see a sign on the door that said hourly rates available. And most of the people staying there were young ladies with skirts up around their navels, and they kept walking in with different guys. And I thought, well, at least they're friendly. That's one thing. So I had 3 weeks to try and find a job. And I walked up and down Hollywood Boulevard, going to all the radio stations. And while I walked, I looked at the stars there, and I could see Marilyn Monroe and John Wayne and Bing Crosby and Kirk Douglas. And I thought, God, that's amazing. You have to be a legend to get here. I never thought this would happen to me. But I went to all the radio stations, and I said, look, I've been DJing for a long time. Love to work for you. I'll do shifts for free so I can audition. No, 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 no. No response. Doors in my face. So I had to get a job. And I went to San Pedro to a place called the Plank House and started DJing. Disco Dick reappeared. And I met this gorgeous girl by the name of Katie Manor. And we were together for close to 3 years. And we had a fantastic time. And during that time, we started a mobile disco company. And after a few weeks, we started to get a good reputation and then got some big bookings. Barbra Streisand, Mac Davis, Larry Hagman, Zsa Zsa Gabor, Regis Philbin, a guy by the name of Elton John, and then Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson got me on the front page of the Los Angeles Times. We're now 3 years into my stay in America. And so I figured with all these press cuttings and all the history and all the practice I'd done for radio, maybe I should make a new tape. So I made a new tape, took the press cuttings, went to all the radio stations, same thing. Polite, no, 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 no. Until I went to KMET. Went to the Mighty Met. Yeah, Mighty Met. I sat down opposite the female program director, gave her my resume, gave her the tape, and she pushed it back at me and laughed and said, "You'll never work in this town with that accent." I went out to Metro Media Square. I looked up at the tower that said KMET, and I swore, actually I did swear, really, but I swore to myself that one day she would be sorry for not giving me a chance. And I kept practicing. 4 months later, K-West did a contest for the best unknown DJ. And I won and got an hour on the air with the late, great J.J. Jackson, who went on to MTV. He was wonderful. And I sent that tape of my 1 hour on the air to all these little stations across California. 4 days later, the phone rings. Katie was there. Bakersfield. Magic 98. We want to hire you. And I found myself sentenced to 1 year in Bakersfield. But I worked, and Katie and I, she came with me, we learned everything about radio. We learned how to do sales calls, how to edit, how to work on the transmitter. Scott Mason would have killed me at the time, but we did everything. It was fantastic. And then after I left Bakersfield, went to San Luis Obispo, Long Beach to KNAC, which is a great station. And while I was there, I got the phone call I'd been waiting for. Rick Carroll. He said, "Would you come by K-Rock? I need to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." And I was like, great. So I met with Rick, and he said, "All of our DJs are going to Hawaii for 2 weeks." He said, "This station has no money. It's a sponsored trip. The DJs had to sell 20 tickets each to listeners, and then they could go for free. But while they're gone, we need someone to fill in." He said, "We've got some local celebrities. We have the lead singer of Oingo Boingo is going to be doing a shift, Danny Elfman." And he went as Moscow Eddie on the air. And then Elvira, the mistress of the dark, she was on. And he said, "But we got one open slot, and that's from 9 to noon. Would you do it?" And I said, "Yeah, 2 weeks on K-Rock, I'll do it." And he goes, "There's a catch." And I said, "Okay, hit me with a catch." He goes, "We can't pay you." And I said, "Well, don't worry about that. That's not important. You know, I'm working at KNEC." And he said, "Well, about that." He said, "I can't have you on the air at K-Rock if you're working at KNEC. You have to quit." And I said, "Oh." And he goes, "And when the jocks come back, they've all got their shifts, so you won't have a position." And I said to Rick, "Are you going to Hawaii too?" And he said, "No, I'm staying here." And I said, "Okay, you'll hear me on the air." And he goes, "That's not going to work." And I said, "It will. I'll take it." So I took the risk, and at the end of my first shift, they hired me for K-Rock. And suddenly, it was like the locomotive took off and just went, because 4 months later, I was on the air, and Raimondo and the Blade was born, the morning show. And then 3 months after that, I met this guy, Peter Facer, and he was doing a music show called MV3, and I got to host that, and that morphed into Video One, and then Video Beat, and America's Top 10, and the Rock and Roll Evening News, and it's been nonstop. But the one thing that it all had in common was the music, because I'm a fanboy. You know, people think, "Oh, you're a knowledgeable DJ." No, I only know about the groups because I love the groups. I love Depeche Mode. I love The Cure. I love the Smiths. I tried to get Morrissey here today. Alan White, Morrissey's longtime guitarist, is right over there. And I was just privileged to play that music. And that's, I think, what was the force driving me, because you like listening to it, I love playing it. And so it was the music that got me here. These guys down front who make the music, I couldn't have done it without them. And so I feel a little imposter syndrome right now, that I shouldn't be here, that I don't deserve it. But, no, well, thank you. But that's exactly what the 10-year-old boy inside me said. He said, "No, just shut up, take the star, because maybe one day you'll run into that female program director from KMET, and you can say to her, 'Now, what was it you told me about the fact I would never work in this town again?'" So, yeah, but I am absolutely thrilled to be here on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And when Anna, and thank you, Anna, and the Chamber of Commerce, they've worked so hard on this. When Anna said, where do you want to be? I said, I want to be on Vine Street, as close to the Palace as possible. And I know it's called the Avalon. It'll always be the Palace to me. Every Friday for 10 years, Richard Blade's Flashback Fridays at the Palace. It was great. And the underwear contest. Can't forget that. But so, and the other thing was, I'm across from Capitol Records, and two of my all-time favorite bands have stars there. A group called Duran Duran, and a group from Liverpool called the Beatles, who still I love every moment of. And my position, I am thrilled. I am between two amazing actors, Bryan Cranston and Bob Odenkirk. So, Saul Goodman on one side, Walter White on the other. It couldn't be better. But I can just imagine my mum and dad, if they were alive, I'd have to explain to them why I'm so happy to be stuck between a shyster lawyer and a meth dealer. But it's a great place to be, and thank you so much for listening all these years. You stopped me from getting a real job. I love you. I didn't even use my notes.
I have a question. Are you ready to unveil the star?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to show you the boulevard. He's just going to pull the star. Okay. Steve. Honey, do you want to come? Where's Jimmy? Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, we are honored to welcome the newest Walk of Famer, Richard Blade! Hey, Richard! Wow,
can you come a little, see the full walking? Can you come a little bit this way?
Perfect. Right in the middle, guys.
Straight ahead. Love you, Richard. Awesome.
Okay, guys. Okay, so separate pictures. Yeah.
Black. Here we go. Black.
Get in there.
Big smiles, go here. Not me, together. Thank you.
Okay, so let me
What do you want?
Billy and
Okay. Yeah, There you go.
there you go. Straight ahead, gentlemen.
Here's the picture.
Here's the shot. Right in the middle, guys. Right here.
Guys, gentlemen, right in front, right below.
Straight ahead.
Look a little to your left, please, gentlemen. Over to your left.
Guys on the right. Richard, still right in front. Down below.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
Right. Thank you, really.
Watch, guys, straight ahead.
There you go. Don't say I want to.
There you go. Left, please. To the left as well. Over to the left.
Right in the middle. Over here, right in the middle, right here. Anna, your phone. Can you guys step on the actual star? There it is. Look at that beautiful. Straight ahead. Straight ahead, Richard.
Down the clock. They want to kiss.
One kiss right there.
Now I'm going to get to the mirror. Okay. Now you're going Oh, Richard, you're in the middle. All right, go ahead.
Guys.
Everybody.
Rich, come on to the, stand on the, walk over here. Star. Walk in the star, go come a little closer. You can get on the star, you can get on the star. Get on the star. But don't block Heidi. You need Heidi. Heidi, come, Heidi, go around the pole. In front of it. There you go. Perfect, guy. Straight ahead, please. Guys, down below here. Richard,
What to this guy?
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
All right, so now to me. Thank you,
Guys, walk in the star, walk in the star. There you go. Anna, solos? Solos.
So you need your solo shot.
Oh, okay. No worries.
You should kneel down to it. Yeah. Richard, straight ahead. Richard, straight ahead. Right here. Richard, right in front of you. Down low, down low. Richard, straight ahead. Right here, Richard. Richard, touch the star. Touch the star, Richard. Touch the star. Richard, hands on the star. Richard, hand on the ground. Looking up, looking up, looking up. Richard, right here. Straight ahead. Richard, open up the jacket. Let's see the shirt. Open it up, open it up, open it up wide. There it is. Thank you. One more time, touch the star. Richard, straight ahead, please. Richard, right here. Richard, let's see the shirt. Let's see the shirt. Open it up. Background.
We can go to your
Guys, walk. Guys, get on the start. Get on the start. Everybody put your foot up. Everybody this way,
Richard, boss, you can't just jump in front of the press like that. And then I'll jump in front of you. I get it. You can't jump in front of five.
Okay? All right, guys, take
They all have outlets they should get pictures as well. Ladies and gentlemen, can you make your way back to your seats, guys? Back to your seats, please. Back to your seats, guys.
interviews come down.